Thanks for listening to Games by Design. Today we're doing something different and we're reviewing our own game, Mildred in the Forest, for design flaws and bugs. Thanks to Llama Dude for becoming our first patron and playing all of our games. We love you, moi. So we're gonna today we've each played the game already and we have some notes about what isn't working, and so we're gonna go over those one at a time and just kind of see if we can fix some stuff here in the next half hour. So we seldom saw Mildred. I had that same note as well, actually.
Yeah.
I was wondering if so the thoughts I've had is either we could make her go faster and just like chase you a little harder, or perhaps we could have her like warp near your location every time you pick up a clue, so that so that every time you do it, you're kind of like, because you don't ever go back to the campfire, and I thought maybe if you go back to the campfire more often, there's that like chase, got to get back to safety. I don't know if you guys did that very much, but when Elise and I were playing it, like we just kind of did the whole circuit. We didn't really need to go back. But if she shows up and she's like near you every time you pick up a clue, I thought that might be kind of a cheaty kind of way to make it spooky again. So that's some of the Mildred ideas that we've got there. So I was thinking about doing the warping her to your location. That might be something we try. We'll see how that goes. Yeah. Maybe I'll try it out.
Yeah, that would be...
That'd be worth giving a go. I think another thing that I considered was she could be visible from farther away. One of the things that we had talked about initially in the game was being able to see her from a distance. And you don't really see her until she's about 10 feet away, basically until she's right on you. And so I didn't really which can be really scary, but it did mean that I didn't see her very often. So, and it's cool that you can hear her. Like that was actually some fun moments that I had in the game where like, oh my gosh, where is she? I can hear her, but I don't see her. And that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I like that, because that's like, oh my gosh, where is she? I know she's really close, but
yeah. And I think there's some other things. Kind of Noah had a recommendation that I think might have a bit with like visibility and might help balance some of these things out too. But we can get into that later. But I think the teleporting idea is a cool idea.
Yeah. It could be trigger based on when you find the items, perhaps, as she gets closer to you, or something like that.
Or maybe she just. No, I was going to say she speeds up for a little bit, but that wouldn't work, because if she was already close to it, she'll just like right.
Yeah. So I might like make little so for the warp thing, I might just like make little nodes like near the clues that she can teleport to every time, that are like out of your line of sight, but that are close enough that she'll be able to like get bother you.
These are in my notes, but I do think that it's related to this, so it's worth talking about. I think another possible solution to this issue of not seeing her very often, is that I think that the player character, I think that the whole thing could be slowed down a bit. The player character could be considerably slower, and I think I was thinking, well, if we want to make her more frightening. I mean, obviously right now at her normal speed, she catches up to you unless you're sprinting. However, there's no reason not to sprint all the time, because there's no tax for sprinting. It's not a finite resource, so you can just zoom everywhere, and because of that, you're never
we don't have
really
like stamina
in danger.
Or something.
Yeah. So I think I feel like having, if you were like considerably slower, and maybe she was slower too, but like if the whole thing was kind of slowed down, so that when she does encounter you, it's pretty frightening, because you have to like conserve your speed. You have to be more clever in how you use it. And that way, just you're not like. I had a different experience from Nick, where actually I could see her the whole time. Maybe it was just because my screen monitors were brighter, but it didn't matter where I was in the game. I could look and I could spot her, because of that little weird glitch with the trees where like they disappear after a certain distance. I was able to stand basically anywhere in the game and see her, unless she was hidden by like a hill. So that personally made it a little less scary for me, because I just could see her all the time, so I could really easily kind of avoid her. Which I feel like in a certain way, seeing her all the time could be really scary, but at least in that way, because I was so speedy, I didn't feel like I was ever actually really in danger.
I think you bring up a good point. No, I cruised. I did go fast. I sprinted everywhere, and I felt like I was really going speedy. And I felt like she was fast too. And like, I think if just the entire game was slowed down, like give you a little more reaction time. Because like when I did see her, I just sprinted, you know, like if there was like, but if she was moving slow enough and I was moving slow enough that like taking a moment to process what was happening, to actually see what was going on, to try to like plan a route of escape. But it was pretty much all just really reflex. I just like, started sprinting, dodging through trees and stuff like that. So, and again, I think that a potentially limited stamina could help too.
So let's go talk about that seeing her thing. It might be something we just have to kind of test.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because Noah, you said that it wasn't scary to have her there, to be able to see her. I mean,
yeah.
But Nick brings up a good point too, where it's like if you could see her, then you'd always have that kind of threat present on your mind, like oh, she's over there, I gotta run away or whatever. If we were gonna try to do that, do you guys think like a light on her would be good? Because I'm trying to figure out how we can actually see her from a distance.
Yeah.
Because we had the light in some of the prototypes, and that was, I don't know if that was quite. I mean, it was spooky. It was spooky sometimes. Just got like get a little hint of where she was.
Yeah. Is there a way to illuminate the sprite without illuminating the surrounding area? Like just the sprite?
Oh, you mean like just her?
Because like I think that the thing that I wasn't as fond of is like that she like made the trees around her glow and the ground around her glow. But like if you could just see that sprite a little bit better, because actually not 100% sure. Because it's super spooky to have her just loom out of the darkness.
It's terrifying when she blends into the darkness of the trees, which I love
really well, and that's actually really.
I love how like when she's moving through the trees, and there's no light and you can't see her. It's like you're not entirely sure if that was her or not, or it's like it's really vague. It's hard to tell.
Yeah,
I do like that. And so,
if I may, another thought is that I feel like Mildred, her character is made up of two scares. She has her visual scare and her audio scare, and those are both. And I feel like if we separate those into two separate scares, then we're able to better utilize them in such a way that perhaps maybe the solution to this isn't that we need to see her, but we need to be aware of her. So if maybe instead of being able to see her all the time, whether it's through light or whatever, we make it so that we can hear her from a farther distance, or there's some other indicator of her approaching, so that the scare of visuals. So that the scare of her being present is still there. Like you can still be like, oh, she's getting close. I don't know exactly where she is. But the visual scare is saved for when she gets very close. So it's like a double scare. You get the distance scare that's like the kind of constant her humming. And then there's the really scary scare of like actually being close enough that you can see her and that you're in immediate danger.
I like that. Because it's her presence.
I like that too.
That needs to be frightening. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be looking at her. But I think some of the scarier moments for me actually were when I heard her and I was darting around and couldn't find her, and I was like, shoot, I don't know which direction she's coming from. I don't know which way to run. It was really fun. Another thing, like if you wanted to add like kind of a, you could even prolong it more. You could do something like, depending on our time and what we want to do. You could have like ambient forest noises that cut out when she gets to a certain distance from you. Like all the birds go quiet or something like that. You could have, her humming slowly grow. Like make it like a multi-phase thing where the uneasiness grows until you get that actual visual jump scare, just to really draw out that tension. But I think just increasing the radius of her humming would do a lot.
I like that idea too. I like it because it's also simple and quick, and I think it would actually be pretty effective.
Yeah.
And I think it would make more of those moments where that you were talking about, where you hear her but you can't see her, so she's close but you don't know where. And if we light her up, or if we make it easier for us to see her, we might lose that. So I think that's good.
I don't think she needs to be visible from a farther distance, I think is what the conclusion I'm coming to.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good to me. So we'll try the warping thing too. We'll see how that goes, and I'll show you guys the prototypes. That's something that we may not know if that's working until we actually test it.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
We'll do that. Let's get to the next one then on your list, Nick. You said clicking through dialogue.
Yeah, just that it. Whenever I talked to the guy with the book, I found myself just mashing left click to get through his dialogue until the options appeared, because I'd read it. I read it the first time, but after that it was the same dialogue and so I think it's like 5 or 6, I want to say, different lines of text that you have to click through before you can interact. And I think if there was a way to pare that down to like 1 after the first interaction, because I think the first time you talk to him it makes sense, but after the first interaction, all you have to do is he goes hello, and the options appear instantly. I think that would make a big difference.
Yeah, I agree. That was actually a bug.
Was it?
Yeah, because it was set up so that he would only say all that stuff the first time. And then he would only say basically hello or hey or how's it going or something, and then take you right to it. But so that was my end. It's a technical thing, but I'll definitely fix it. But yeah, it's just a good principle overall too. Like, don't want to actually hear your life story every time. I just want to know how you're doing. And then you said doesn't kill if wrong.
Yes. So first guess specifically. So this the way this appeared was I played through the whole game. I got the guess right. I won. I won. Now if you guess, because the guy's got his book, you read through the book, and he'll tell you what creatures there are and stuff like that. I decided to make a wrong guess, right? Because I won. I want to see what happens if I lose. I was just curious.
Yeah.
So I booted up the game again, and instantly I broke the totem and I made a wrong guess. And Mildred didn't show up because she doesn't move until you found the first clue.
Yeah. Okay.
So if
I see
there
what you're saying.
Some way to make it so after you break the totem, she goes into the final mode. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be easy.
So that she appears
break
in the
totem.
most frightening.
You're fine. So like change her animation to the final stage and then
Yeah.
Make her move and come get you. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that.
Oh yeah, it's
okay.
I actually have another related note that I forgot to write down, and that was that when I'd spend a good amount of time in the campfire when I did this. I would go out, I'd come back, I'd find a clue, I'd plan my route, I'd go out, I'd come back. That's how I went about it. And whenever I'm there, there's this kind of interesting thing that happens where I'd be standing in the campfire, I'd hear her singing because she'd get closer, and then so the loop was I'd be standing there, the singing would get gradually louder, and then she'd disappear, and then I'd be sitting there for a little while, and I'd go, and she just kept coming up to the place and disappearing. So perhaps if there was funny. A way to make her not follow you until you leave the campfire circle.
Yeah, we should be able to do that. So she'll probably just freeze when you're. Yeah, I'll figure something out there. I was thinking I could just freeze her when you're in the circle, but then she'll probably just stop as soon as you enter it. But I'll find another way to code it. Yeah.
Perhaps.
Okay, cool. That's good.
Maybe what you could do potentially for that instead is have it so that as soon as you enter the circle, she disappears and respawns back at her location, so that you don't have to just. So that and then she immediately it plays that trigger that and then she disappears no matter where she is, and you still hear the sound cue because you've entered the safe space. That just as an idea.
That's a good option.
So that if that's an easier option for you, but
I think that might work. Or maybe I'll have her freeze when she warps, and then it'll set her speed to 0, and then I'll just have her set it back up as soon as you exit.
Yeah.
Like that. Cool. Your other note, Nick, is about the arm. That's just a technical issue that I'm trying to figure out. It was correct in the player, but then it has to do with anchoring, and I'm still learning how anchoring works in Unity.
Yeah.
I might have an idea of what it is now. I think I just need to learn what the options mean. But
gotcha.
Yeah, so that's I had the same issue. I was playing it looked fine when I was playing it in the engine, in the builder. But then when I switched over and did the built version of the game on my big screen, it shrunk the arm.
Tiny arm.
It was tiny little arm, about 2 inches big on the very far side of the screen.
Yeah. So that's really it. Just wanted it to to take up a little more space. But yeah.
Alrighty, let's get to Noah's notes.
Yeah.
Okay, you had a bug with the book guy, Noah?
Yeah, so I had a bug with the book guy where it was after. I tried to recreate it and I actually couldn't. So maybe it was just a really weird one-off thing. But I had a bug where I spoke to. It was right after I got all the clues and I asked the man about the last clue, and then I looked at his book and I exited. And maybe I pressed escape. Maybe I pressed. I don't know. Maybe I tabbed out of the window. But I could look around. I could look left, right. I couldn't. It was like I was still in the dialogue option, because you could still look left and right, but I couldn't click anything and I couldn't exit the dialogue option. I can try and recreate it. Maybe I can like bug hunt it and see if I can, but also because it was such a one-off thing, I don't know if it's actually a legitimate issue for this game jam. It might not be big enough to care. So.
Okay.
But
I mean, like, if you can find it, let me know. Otherwise, I know what that's going on there. It's disabling your legs in the game, so you can't move around or anything. But that should be reactivated when you hit the close book button. So I don't know what's going on there. But
yeah, I'm not sure.
I have a quick
I
question about the dialogue. So when you have it freeze, I don't recall it from the last game. Is there a way to make it so you can look up and down as well, or is that locked?
That's locked.
Yeah, we locked that.
Is that intentionally locked?
Yeah, it was intentionally locked because it just felt. I could try unlocking it though.
Yeah,
I mean, it wouldn't be hard.
What happens is what I'd do is I'd run up and I'd be looking at kind of an odd angle. I could be looking up, and I'd start the conversation, and he'd just be like some glasses at the bottom of my screen, and I couldn't look down at him. It just locks you whatever altitude whatever height your eyes are at is where
whatever your pitch is.
Yeah. So like if you're looking at his feet and you can't look up at him during the conversation. So just something to consider.
I will say, I think having the mouse tied to the, like when you're selecting options tied to how you look around it, sometimes I did it and I was like, ooh, I got like a little nauseous for a second there, because I was like, I'm like my mouse is like zipping around the screen looking at different things and my character's going like looking everywhere. So I wonder if like it would be nice to be able to like center on the character, but I almost wonder if it would be better if the screen just didn't move as soon as you got into the dialogue option. But that's just
that was actually that was actually the reason that I turned off the looker, is because it got to be that it just felt really weird to be trying to select stuff on the menu and then the camera's all over the place.
Yeah. Is there a way to make a different input for selecting, like with the arrow keys or the WASD?
That's possible.
Because I actually enjoy it when games do that for like menus.
That would just have to come up with some sort of
menus with keys.
Yeah, you'd have to come up with some sort of highlighting system for dialogue options, but like that.
Oh yeah.
But
I think it's built in actually. I'm pretty sure you can just do it with Fungus. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I think you just got to turn it on.
There's something to consider.
So we'll see how that goes. But I want to make sure that it's still possible to click it with the mouse, though.
Yeah.
So that I think that's kind of the trade-off there. We'll see. I'll take a look and see if I can figure out a better camera solution there. That might be one of the low priority things.
Yeah.
No, that's fine.
All right. Noah, you said you think the game might benefit from some fog.
Yeah. So this is a little like, oh man, if we had like a few more weeks to work on this game kind of thing, you know? But it's just playing through it. I felt that having an oppressive sort of fog would have helped with quite a few things. I thought it would help with the tree issue, because then we wouldn't have to render all of the trees, and you wouldn't have to worry about the trees bugging out that are further out because you wouldn't be able to see them. This is what happened with Silent Hill. The reason why Silent Hill 2, I could be incorrect on this, but the reason why Silent Hill 2 was so foggy was because it was like a game limitation thing. So like, well, we don't have to render everything if there's just fog everywhere. So you don't have to worry about rendering stuff. So they just developed a really system, like there's just a simple fog system, and then they didn't have to worry about all the stuff being visible all the time, which made it really easy to run. But anyway, so that might help out with the tree part. But I think it would also help out, again, for me, my experience was that I could see Mildred all the time, and I thought that if I couldn't see her because of like a fog, that would be kind of fun too. I think it would make the game harder because you wouldn't be able to see everything all the time. But I also recognize that just in the current state that it's in, it might be too hard, because there's certain stuff like the frog pile out in the pond is like, or the frog pile or the stone man. Like those are like, if you couldn't see that, you would just be wandering around there for ages. I was thinking if we had, more time, more weeks to work on this is kind of speculative, but it's still fun to talk about. If we had more time to work on this, I would say add fog and then add tiny weenies everywhere that point you in certain locations, like signs, location markers, lamps, so that when you're walking, even though there is fog, you can always see another thing, either a road or a sign that points you towards the pond. And then when you're at the pond, like just little things, but that's a bit bigger. But that was just something I thought would, if we were going to work on this for a lot more, add to the experience as a whole.
I might be able to just use the built-in Unity fog, and just maybe at least do like a certain distance. Like maybe it could be far enough out that you can still see the stuff.
Yeah.
And maybe I could move the frogs in closer and the statue guy in closer, so it's easier to find. With
Sure,
the fog
yeah.
on.
Yeah.
We'll see. I can try that kind of thing. I'll just like experiment with it. We'll see how that goes.
Absolutely.
I don't think that getting lost is necessarily a bad thing. In fact, I kind of wished that I did get lost. Like I think that's it's we obviously we haven't had people who aren't us play this game, and we know where stuff is and all that. But like for me, it didn't feel like I was wandering the forest so much as, I mean, like I could always see the campfire. Like even with my kind of lower visibility than Noah had, I could always see the campfire. So as soon as I got a clue, I just turned around and straight course. I had to navigate through some trees now and then, but like nothing was ever obscured. I never felt like I was in a dangerous situation. I really think that like a core part of we had talked about in this initial thing is getting lost in the woods and like scrambling and scouring. And I think that part of the appeal of the game is scouring and looking, right? Like the gameplay experience is wandering the woods looking for stuff, like trying to figure out where you are, trying to find things. So and having this oppressive, spooky, slow mounting horror around you. So I think that a certain degree of obtuseness and difficulty wouldn't be a bad thing.
Yeah.
The clues do glow. I don't think the game needs to be completed super fast. I think you can go out into the woods and come back, and like, where are those things? Like that's actually a lot of fun to be had there.
Oakley dokley. Well, I'll try that out with the fog then.
Yeah, that's a fun one. I would be very curious. I feel like the fog would make a huge difference. I don't know what the Unity fog engine is like, but who knows?
Yeah, I'll give it a try. I'll let you know what it looks like. I'll show you some fixes and stuff. So, your last note is that you should be able to quack like you can in Witch Hunter.
Not really, but I thought that was really funny, and I missed it. So
you'd have like a scared quack, like
you just make like frightened noises.
That's really funny.
Yeah, we could try something like that, I guess.
Yeah.
I think I'll probably make that the lowest.
The lowest priority. Yeah. That's just flavor, but that just made me giggle.
Well, I think that's pretty much everything. We touched on most of my stuff. My only other note here was that if you can't talk to the family, it might seem weird that you can talk to the dude. And so people might try to talk to the family and then realize you can't talk to him and then not try to talk to the dude.
Oh yeah.
So I really want to try to fix that one so that they can actually talk to you. Yeah, I might also. I was hoping to turn off their music when you turn off the ward. Too.
Oh yeah.
Noah and I were thinking that same thing. Yeah.
Glad you mentioned that because I forgot to write that down.
Yeah, because I think that'd be spookier. Because they just keep playing the song and the kid just keeps dancing. The thing I was worried about was that like, should I like freeze their animation? Would that look kind of weird until Mildred shows up, or maybe I will just freeze.
Maybe they can just disappear. And then you're like, wait, are they real?
Were they ever real?
And you think they're spirits or something.
You could ask.
Alrighty.
Oh, it'd be funny. You could make you could like talk to the book dude and be like, what's with the people? And he's like, what people? What are you talking about?
That's a great idea.
And you can talk to them, but they're like a little odd, like they're a little uncanny about it. They're just like they just say things that make you think, are they ghosts? But like very vaguely.
All right, yeah, I'll play around with that. I'll see what's an easy, quick thing. I want to do like a patch that like fixes as much as possible, and then just call it good, and release the whole thing out into the wild.
Yeah.
So that we can get started on our next one and everything. But
yeah,
that was
I think
good.
it's fantastic.
If I may add one final PSA, just because to our lovely 3 listeners, and just so everyone knows that this is, despite all of this bugs and bug hunting and us nitpicking this thing, it is extremely impressive what in particular Zach has churned out in a week. This is our first like actual game. And I don't know. I'm so impressed. I think this is the coolest thing in the world. So I just want to, like, despite us nitpicking this and kind of tearing it apart a bit, like, I think this is what has been done is nothing to sneeze at. So just want to say that.
Why, thank you.
Thank you, Zach.
It's been a lot of fun. Yeah, my pleasure. And thanks, guys, for doing the art and the music and everything.
Oh,
like,
certainly.
It's amazing how quickly we're learning how to use this stuff and what we can do with it. I think just churning out a game a week, not every week, but churning out a lot of games is the fastest way to learn how to do this, and I think this is kind of showing that that's working, because we're learning a lot. So
Yeah.
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. Thanks. And it was a fun game. It's spooky too. Like it's scary. So we got part of it figured out, right? You know. Alrighty, well, let's wrap it up here. But thanks for doing this with me, guys, and thanks for listening, folks. And we will see you again next time.
Bye bye.